Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Greg Lewis, the city manager of Lebanon, New Hampshire. Welcome to Lebanon in Depth. We kind of had a day off for the 4th of July, so we didn't have a show that time. Instead, we had a show with a storm, and those who've involved in the storm, the storm issue. It's really going. I do want to initially state to everyone, we in the city of Lebanon, the differing departments who are trying their best to be of service to you, really want to appreciate you who have experienced the storm and all the difficulty you have in affecting your lives. And we thank you, each and every one of you, and we'll do everything we possibly can to be of assistance to you. We know how difficult these events have been for you, and we're going to be with you until we get the recovery completely completed, and it's very important to us, and it's become a very high priority for us. So we're with you. Some may see this show shortly before what we're going to do is we're doing a community meeting on the storm event. It's a community conversation on recovery and response to the storm. And that meeting is going to be July 24th, and some of you will see this show after that time. But we'll have it. We're having it taped thanks to our great partner, CATV. They're going to tape that show, so it's going to be on CATV. And we'll get that disc and we'll put it on the website. So you'll be able to see that meeting even if you're not able to attend. It's at the Fireside Convention Center here in our community. They're great and they're helping us. And that night has happened to be it's going to start, and it's going to start, you can get there at the 6 to 8 time, and afterwards there'll be a chance to individually visit with people from the various state and nonprofit agencies and the city's agencies. So with that, the storm is here, and we're hoping, we'll probably ask some of our guests today how the storm might have affected their lives. But this is a great day for me because it's one of my favorite days. We've done this before, and that is the library. And we got 2 buildings, but we got 1 library. And the library is really, I'm just so impressed with the work that's being done by the trustees and the foundation of the library, and then of course our fine city library director and all the city library employees. What's great about them, they're employees of us, they're also employees of the trustees. It's a great collaborative effort, and we've been together before, and we're back to you today. I can't tell you how much the Lewis family loves the library. I've told this before. Our lovers and supporters, we hope you, if you aren't already a lover and supporter, we suggest you look at either one of our beautiful libraries and take advantage of such great opportunities. They also they need support. They'll be talking about that today, and right from the beginning, we always like to encourage anyone to join people like my family and become supporters of the library. The foundation, the trustees, the foundation is very important in some of the work they're doing. And I only lastly mentioned that as we begin the show, I had about an hour and a half ago dropped off my wife to the Kilton Library, and she's presently in counseling in the Kilton Library, reading books. I am to pick her up after our show and take her out for dinner. She enjoys the library, especially when it's so hot. It's just a neat place. Now we're going to go around and introduce ourselves. I introduced myself already, Greg Lewis, the city manager of Lebanon, and we'll start with you. And Sean, why don't you introduce yourself and your role and your title?
So I'm Sean Fleming, and the library director for, as you mentioned, both libraries in Lebanon.
I'm Beverly Damren, and I'm chairman of the Board of Trustees for the Lebanon and Kilton Library.
And I'm Al Michalovic. I am the president of the foundation, the fundraising arm, if you will.
That's great. There's 2 things we're going to highlight today. One is our foundation's direction and work, and we also support it in trying to bring assets into our community to assist our library. And we're also going to talk about our project that was over at the Lebanon Library downtown and what's taking place there. So before we get that, we're going to give a little warm-up. Let Sean kind of warm us up as if we need to be warmed up on a day that, gosh, I don't know what temperature is now, 90-something, I know that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's generally kind of cross-sectionally going on in the library, and toward the end of the program we may come back and catch up some items you might miss.
Sure.
Well, I don't want to steal any of Al's thunder, but we are doing a fundraising campaign right now for for both libraries. We did that last year as well. It was our first time doing so. So letters went out to all Lebanon residents and also people who gave to the libraries who live beyond Lebanon, West Lebanon. And we're getting a lot of responses. So far we've had about 50 responses to that mailing, which is really great, including many patrons and former donors. Summertime is also summer reading time, so we have quite a few children who are participating in that. The schools collaborate with us on that. So we've, I think, signed up over 400 kids this summer at both libraries for that.
That's great.
And also adults. There's an adult summer reading program. A lot of the prizes for that are actually given and donated by local businesses. So had a number of local businesses that supported us in that. The Four Aces Diner, I believe Salt Hill Pub as well. So there's a lot going on at the library. As you mentioned, we have been pretty packed the last week or so because of the heat. So people are coming in and expressing how nice it is to be cool. We're actually a cooling center too, so there have been a couple days when the fire department has issued warnings regarding the heat, and so people are welcome to come to either library in Lebanon to cool down. The air conditioning is currently working at both facilities. So,
Excellent, excellent. Did the storm affect us, any of our buildings in the library operation?
we did have some damage to the addition at the Lebanon Library, which has a flat roof. We're estimating it's about $2,500 worth of damage to ceiling tiles, some water damage to the walls. Really, given the scope of the damage in Lebanon, though, it's pretty minimal. At the Kilton Library, Tracy Street turned into a little river in between Kilton Library and Mascoma. It did rise over the sidewalk and got onto the grounds, but there really wasn't any damage after inspecting the basement, and the building was pretty much untouched, so we were fairly unscathed. So
That's great.
Pretty
That's
lucky.
I'm glad we're lucky. There were so many people that didn't have that quite luck in the
Right.
place, that doggone microburst hit. Let's go and Bev, let's talk about what's happened at the downtown library and any other things as a trustee, and then we'll get to Al and with regard to the foundation and some of the movements we're doing with the foundation. So let's talk about that downtown library. We're really proud
Well,
of that.
I'm really pleased to be able to talk about the downtown Lebanon Library, our Carnegie Library on the Green, which is a beautiful place. We were able, with the foundation and the fundraising that we did last year, we were able to redecorate and redo many things in the library in Lebanon. We were able to take up the floor and put a brand new beautiful floor down, and we were able to get new stacks, and we were able to get a new rug in the children's area, and we were able to get new furniture in the part of the front of the Lebanon Library as you go in the door, which made it a very attractive place now and very comfortable for people. And this has been a project that we've wanted to do for quite a long time, so we're very pleased to be able to have had that fundraiser and have it be so successful that we were able to do this, and everyone seems to really be appreciative of the way how it came out and worked for them. And I have to say that the staff was just wonderful during that time. The staff in Lebanon removed the books and helped remove the stacks and get things out of the way to prepare for it to happen. Then they came over to the Kilton Library and worked with the people in the Kilton Library, and that meant the staff was able to work together doing different things, and I just can't, it just came out so beautifully, and that it worked so well, and we're so appreciative of our staff because we have wonderful people working in our libraries. So, and they're very happy with the library staff in Lebanon's very happy with the way things turned out and how it is there. It's a lovely place to walk in and a really pleasant feeling to walk in and see that now.
It's quite an update and upgrade. We heard some good comments. Have others heard comments from people about that development and how they feel about it and what it means to them? Have you heard other things from anyone else?
Well, I'm working at the building. People walk in all the time and have made remarks about it. I think for some people who live in Lebanon and who've lived there their whole lives and remember what the library looked like prior to the remodeling in 1984, they think that it's they feel like it's brought it back to where the building used to be, because we had old carpeting that was down that was covering beautiful wood floors, which, as I understand it, people used to do in residences and commercial buildings, and now the trend is more to try to bring back the old wood and give it more of a classical look. So a lot of residents have said that they're quite pleased to see their gifts go to such a project, and so we haven't really heard much in the way of anybody saying that they wish it was the way it was, because the carpeting was 30 years old, and it was pretty evident that the work had to be done. So it was pretty non-controversial.
And, the preservation, as far as being, those important, another one of those very important Carnegie libraries is there. The historical nature and look of that facility is there. The environment for patrons is there. One of the things I liked about it, I liked many things about what that project was. I thought the way it turned out and its look was very nice, and I thought the spatial arrangements and how they laid it out. I do like restoration of the wood floor look and feel. That's just I do like that. I grew up in a house that was with hardwood floors, and that's just something I've always liked, and now we have that. And you just remarked, I think, on one of those key points is that those who donate could see exactly the results of their donation. And I think that's kind of a good kind of cue for Al about what they're trying to accomplish with regard to fundraising and trustees and foundation work and what's going on.
Well, thanks, Greg. The foundation was started back, I think, in 2005 or 2006 with the specific intent to be the 501c3 to accept the funds that we were going to get and raise for the new library in West Lebanon. That project having completed itself, the board moved into a different role, and that role would be to work on an annual appeal and to work on raising the funds that will bring some of the extras. Just heard about the Lebanon Library, having the work done there, which having been on the trustees for 2 terms back in 04, 05 and forward, we talked about doing that for quite some time, but just did not have the wherewithal to do it. And to be able to come in that building for the first time for myself, walking in there to take a book out, and I knew the work had been done, but I had no concept of how really beautiful it is, how much of a breath of fresh air it is, and specifically that work was done from the annual appeal that was done in 2012. I think we raised about $29,000. And we were novices at that. We were trying to work our way through and figure that out. We're currently in the second annual appeal. We've moved all of our thrust at this point to long-term gifts and allowing and creating the opportunities for people in the community to support other changes similar to what we've seen in the Lebanon Library. Will also allow us to add additional books, hopefully in the future, in the West Lebanon Library. That library was designed to hold quite a bit larger collection. And we realized when we were in the process of building that and raising the funds for it, that we couldn't start with where we hope the collection will be, the rooms there, but we had to scale back and take a little different position on it. And I think we did a very nice job of what was there the day we opened, and now we're looking to expand that. To that, we are planning to, we have now put out a call for a development person, and that is that's been posted. That application, I believe, is out and posted at this point?
We're working on that.
Working on that, okay. That will go out. We will hire a development person that'll work 25 to 30 hours a week, specifically to help us with this fundraising arm of our project. And we're in hopes that many other towns in Maine and New Hampshire and Vermont are doing this, and that we are in hopes that we will be able to follow some of the models they've laid down and to bring that person online and help us to shepherd the money. The Kilton Library, the base for the Kilton Library, was a bequest from the Kiltons, and that opportunity exists further, and we will try to promote that and let people know that that is a possibility. So each letter that we send out, each appeal that we'll do, allows us to do additional, the fruits of that will allow us to do additional work and add to the base that we have now.
I think this is wonderful. You know, we're trying to, I think everyone together, the four of us working together, the community working together, you know, I have been, we're trying different approaches. So yesterday we had the second meeting of the Economic Vitality Committee, the exchange of the city, which are business leaders and representatives, joining 3 council members and myself. Chamber and I worked together to create the format, and the Chamber supported it, and the business community supported it, and the city council supported it. And every time we do these collaborative efforts where we support, the trustees support, the foundation supports, our city library supports. So we because I keep discussing, but it's well worth kind of reminding everybody in the community that we're watching the society change in terms of how we're part of the greater world. And in that developments, it seems fairly clear that in order for us to meet the needs of the community, we're going to have to develop some new relationships between the sectors involved, and that's the public sector, what the public sector is going to be able to achieve or not achieve, what the nonprofit sector is going to be able to achieve or not achieve, and of course what the private sector is going to be able to achieve or not achieve. And we're very lucky and very fortunate and blessed with a very strong private sector in our area. There's a lot of strength in the area on the private sector side, with some very creative and innovative entrepreneurial leaders of business in our area, our region. Likewise, we're very fortunate to have some very strong nonprofits of significant natures in our community. In our private side, we're trying to build relationships with the other local government entities. Earlier this week, I just met with the school superintendent and nonprofit designee, Tim McNamara, and talked about Sim Hill and using collaborative effort to develop Sim Hill School into a collaborative community center. I think what we're doing with our library is it's going to take all of us to try to figure out how to bring it to its fullest potential. Because it was a wonderful endeavor to create Kilton. It's a wonderful endeavor to help and sustain and reinvigorate the downtown Lebanon Library like you have. And so we need to they keep adding value to these significant commitments made by the people that have been in the trenches here on the foundation, on the trustees, is trying to create this. And so we all have to pull together. A property tax base for that kind of movement is not adequate so long we're sole source property tax base in the state, in my judgment as a manager. So we're going to need a combination. And that's what you're doing. You're doing the right thing in the right place at the right time. So that's pretty neat.
Well, there are a couple reasons why I'm optimistic that we can do what you're talking about, and one of them is the fact that the Kilton Library, the total construction cost and cost for everything involved was $6.2 million, 70% of which was raised privately, so from individual donors or corporations. That's a lot of money. That's about $4 million. So since we raised that to build a Kilton, I'm very optimistic that we can really ongoing generate a good annual appeal, a really vibrant one, and also long-term establish an endowment too. So that's my goal for my career. So that's one reason why. The second reason why I'm optimistic is what Al was talking about, the fact that there are a lot of other local libraries, libraries in New England that have been very successful in doing what we're thinking of doing. Just next door, we have the Howe Library that raises over $120,000 a year with their annual appeal, and their corporation helps to sustain them to the tune of around 25% of their operating budget. Right now, the Lebanon libraries are private funds that sustain us are only about 5%. So we can up that number. We're going to be successful, and our goal for next year is to have those funds go towards, as Al was remarking, books for both libraries actually. So we need to add to the collection at Kilton, but we also want to revitalize what we have at Lebanon Library. We have some older titles on the shelf, especially in nonfiction, that need to be replaced. So we're going to be allocating funds to both sides of town for the books. With regard to the Kilton, we also our goal is to increase the hours at the Kilton to match what we have at the Lebanon Library. Ever since we've opened, I don't think there's been a week that's gone by that we haven't had somebody who's knocked on the door at 12 o'clock or 10 o'clock on a Monday or Wednesday when we don't open until 1 o'clock and said, when do you guys open? And they're very surprised that such a beautiful 15,000 square foot building is closed until 1 on Monday and Wednesday. So we aim to open those hours with money raised from the community, money that we're already taking in with this first annual appeal. And we're optimistic we're going to be able to do that with this first letter campaign, and we're doing another one at the end of the year, and with the development person that we're bringing on board. I did want to remark and thank you for a number of things. You've been city manager since I think a little bit before I was hired. When Lou Ungarelli retired, Lou was my mentor for a number of years in many ways. He was library director in Lebanon for 7 years and built the Kilton Library, so I don't really need to say much more than that. But I feel like you've done the same for me, and you've really worked great with the library. You facilitated us being able to hire a development person, so we've been it's been great you having the depth of experience to have worked in situations in which there have been departments that have foundations that help to keep them going. So earlier in the year, you helped us with the city council as far as being able to move to the next step and transition to this. So thank you for that. Also, as far as our long-range planning goes, where we are as a library setting goals not just for next year, but for years down the road. What else can we do with the Lebanon Library? If you walk into the Lebanon Library and go to the first floor, it's quite lovely. As you're remarking, you go down to the children's room, it's beautiful as well. We have nice new carpeting, but there's still work to be done. The second floor still has that 1984 carpeting. We can do things up there to make there be more quiet reading spaces. So those are the kind of things that we're aiming to do. Not in 2014, because we don't have the funds to do that. We're not going to come to the city and ask to do that. And we don't anticipate having the funds to do that with this campaign this year, but in years in the future, we do aim to do those kind of projects, and with the help of a development person who will know when we hire them that is the kind of thing we're looking to do. We're hoping that it's something that the community will respond to and say, that sounds like a great idea, just like people who are going to our renovation celebration today on Thursday. And they'll say, wow, this was great, this was really worth it. How can I help? Really looking forward to doing that. I also wanted to thank you as far as helping to create connections too with other departments in the city, because I have some ideas about what to do collaboratively with the planning department, for example. Andrew Gaspray has some fantastic ideas about what to do as far as transportation is concerned in the city of Lebanon. Also some digitization projects that we could work on. So he has some really exciting ideas. He talked about other communities that have had some pretty interesting ideas. I won't get into them right now because we're running out of time. But thank you for also facilitating an environment that makes it possible for these ideas to take root and then for you to move forward. So I just want to remark about that, especially since in the aftermath of this event, you're probably not getting a lot of people patting you on the back very often, so maybe I can step up to the plate and do that for you.
Al, just comment on the whole thing's going on?
Kind of a comment to it, and I'll try to wrap this up. But what I see, the foundation is giving the residents of the city of Lebanon the opportunity to give back. In my case, I'm giving back to the place I earned my living. I'm giving back to the place I raised my children. And they've had a great spot to be in. They've had great recreation. They've had great libraries. They've had great schools. So it's really a pleasure to give back. And I think what the foundation is doing is allowing people to give back and to support the community in which they live in and make and call their home.
That is really, I think, the essence of the thought on that. As you said that, and I'm going to ask Bev about some of her ending thoughts as we go in our last couple of minutes. I recall Hutchinson Public Library, and I lived on the farm, and so I had to come in. And my parents would, when we had me working, and they'd drop me off at the library, and as a grade school, and I would go to the library, and I had certain sections. I would read section by section, and I would just do that. And I'm sure we have people doing that now, using that library as this tool. Bev, you get the closing statements about how your feels. I just admire you and Al so much for your commitment to our library.
Well, I concur with some of the part of what Al said, because I've been very happy living in Lebanon, West Lebanon, and I like to feel like I'm giving back too. But it's a wonderful place for children and adults to go. We offer so much these days that it just makes it really great for us to be able to do it.
Thank you. Now, as we close our meeting today, I want to thank our representatives from the foundation, the trustees. I do want to thank our library director. He's a pleasure to work with. We offer as a city a chance to engage. We need to serve you as residents and do all we can to meet the needs, no matter what type of environment, what kind of event, what kind of, when we want to be known as the people there for you, and we want to be the best public servants we can be. And the library illustrates one of our great areas of service in providing, through this collaborative effort, an opportunity for learning, for growing, and for enjoying the cultural resources we have through our libraries. So thank you, and I remind you that if you think through this as what you can do to support the library, to donate toward the library, join Ruth and I. We think it's the best thing, one of the best things we can do. So thank you today, and have a great day. Be sure and protect yourselves in the heat in these extreme environments we have. Pay attention to our Web Alerts. If you aren't on Web Alert now, look on our website and we'll sign up for Web Alert. Take care of yourselves. It's a good day to stay out of the heat, stay in cooler drink water, and be safe. Thank you.